Alright, so White Fragility, a book that has been making the rounds still, and I've mentioned a few times in the past week, and I've been seeing people talking about it still. There was a criticism of this book I wanted to bring up, and that's that it is an unfalsifiable claim. It cannot be proven false. Now, to the average person, maybe this might seem like a good thing. It sort of sounds like they might have an airtight argument if you can never prove it false, but to anyone who has even a trace amount of knowledge in the way debate or argumentation works, knows right off the bat that this is a very significant fallacy, because it's not unfalsifiable due to being an airtight argument, and even airtight arguments are falsifiable as long as there is a theoretical argument or piece of evidence that can be brought forth to prove it wrong. It's not unfalsifiable. It's just that a really airtight argument has not had a piece of evidence to go against it yet. But White Fragility is an unfalsifiable statement because they've set the rules up so that it can never be tested, and the very act of testing it or criticizing it, according to them, only proves their point. So why is White Fragility unfalsifiable? Well, they claim that all white people are racist, or at least complicit in racism, and white people are fragile because if they ever try to defend themselves or use logic or reason or evidence, that just further proves that they are fragile. You hear Robin DiAngelo say this in all of her interviews. She will give some anecdotal evidence, which, by the way, that's almost all I ever hear her give, but she'll tell this hypothetical story that we're all supposed to accept as being truthful about some unknown white person being told they're racist, and they try and counter that accusation. It doesn't matter what they say, it doesn't matter what evidence they bring to the table, it doesn't matter what argument they give. They are white, they're racist, and the mere fact of them arguing proves their white fragility. It should be obvious how this game works. So let's say Robin DiAngelo, the author of White Fragility, says to a white person that they're racist. Now, that's not a trivial accusation, first off, so the white person has a very fair and reasonable motivation to respond. It's not because they're fragile, it's because the mere accusation can destroy someone's reputation. So they respond by saying they're not. They don't judge people on their ethnicity, or maybe they're in charge of hiring and firing in a business, and there's no evidence race ever played a role in their decisions, or race just plays no factor, and how they judge people and their social or even political life could prove this. Whatever they say, however they defend themselves, whether they're unconvincing or very convincing, is of no consequence. The mere act that they defend themselves, according to these critical theorists, proves the point of white fragility. In fact, they explicitly say that even if race plays no role in how you judge people, even if it plays no role in your life, that is also by definition playing into complicity, and you can therefore be found guilty. It is the original sin of being white, and you cannot defend yourself. In fact, just by merely defending yourself, you prove that you have been blinded by your whiteness, as they say. This is quite literally the level of argument you would expect to hear from a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old might be found to be calling someone stupid, and they're so stupid they don't even know how stupid they are, and if they try and say why they're not stupid, it just shows how stupid they are. This is literally what we are dealing with here. The capacity for anything to be contradicted by evidence is a measure of whether it's unfalsifiable, and white fragility firmly sits in the realm of being unfalsifiable. You can't even use objective facts, because again, critical theorists have set the game up themselves, and they say even objective facts are merely a way for the oppressors to legitimize themselves, and that lived experience is more important than objectivity. So if someone feels or experiences something subjectively or emotionally, this is to be given a higher regard than objective facts about the situation. It should be pretty obvious why this is not the best way to get at the reality of things. I mean, for example, if you remember the obscene panic over electronic cigarettes, people's emotions got in the way, and then they began believing this was spelling doom for untold numbers of people. Those who were calm, rational, and objective saw through it and knew it wasn't going to be that serious. Emotions are important, but in terms of figuring out the reality of any given situation, objectivity is the best tool you've got. But critical theorists' main goal is to be critical. So if objective facts won't lead to restlessness and hysteria, they don't want those to be given any weight. So emotion and lived experiences are put on a pedestal. And if there's anything we know about human beings, it's that emotion can be a serious hindrance in thinking clearly, which is precisely what we've been seeing an inordinate amount of, because there are a lot of problems out there. And libertarians have been pointing them out for a very long time, but white fragility is not one of them, and it only serves to waste time having to deal with an argument that, as I said, a 5-year-old might make. But that is all for now. Like, subscribe, and share this video around. Don't be fragile, and don't defend yourself, and take it easy.